Chapter 6. The Book in the Floorboards. The weight of Daniel's arm across her shoulders was the first thing Decima noticed when she woke. His breath was warm against her neck, slow and steady. His body pressed close as they lay tangled together on the worn sofa. The faint scent of smoke still lingered on his clothes, a reminder of the day they'd had. For a moment she didn't move, barely breathing, afraid to shatter the strange stillness that wrapped around them like a cocoon. Then it came. A low, distant sound, deep, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat buried beneath the earth. It wasn't loud, but it was impossible to ignore. The air in the room shifted, carrying a sharp, unfamiliar scent. Smoke, yes, but older, wilder. Like something from the depths of the earth, Decima's pulse quickened. A strange pull tightened in her chest, like an invisible thread tugging her forward. She slid out from beneath Daniel's arm, careful not to wake him, and crept toward the window. The sound grew louder, a deep rumble that seemed to echo through the ground itself. She pushed open the door, stepping barefoot into the cold night air. The garden stretched before her, bathed in silver light, the trees casting long shadows across the grass. Then she saw it, a shape, moving between the trees. Massive, dark, wings tucked against its sides, scales catching the moonlight in flashes of black and silver. The ground seemed to shudder beneath its weight. Each step slow, deliberate, powerful. Her breath caught in her throat. A dragon, the creature's head lifted, golden eyes locking onto hers. The air between them thrummed, thick with unseen energy. Decima's body froze, her heart racing so fast she thought it might break. Behind her, she heard the soft creak of the sofa, the shift of weight. Decima? Daniel's voice was rough with sleep, confused. She didn't turn. She couldn't. Daniel appeared beside her, barefoot and rumpled, his eyes widening as they settled on the dragon. His breath hitched, but he didn't speak. The dragon took another step forward, its claws sinking into the earth, breath misting in the cold air. Its gaze never left Decima, and then the voice came, soft, low, curling around her mind like smoke. "You feel it now, don't you?" Her breath hitched. The words weren't spoken aloud, but they filled her, wrapping around her heart. Her bones, her breath. I don't understand," she whispered. "You called me?" the voice whispered, deep and ancient. "Not with words. With your soul." She shook her head, trembling. "No, I didn't. I didn't call for anything. But you did." The dragon lowered its head slightly, watching her with eyes that gleamed like molten gold. Daniel stayed silent, standing close but not moving. His gaze flicked between her and the dragon, but he didn't speak. He couldn't. He didn't hear the voice. Decima's voice was barely a whisper. "What are you?" "I am what was lost. I am what waits. I am what burns inside you." Her hands shook at her sides, a soft breath escaping her lips as the words coiled deeper inside her, like a spark waiting to catch. "I don't know what you mean," she whispered, tears blurring her vision. "You will, in time. For now you must listen." Her heart thundered in her chest. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice breaking. "Fear's the beginning," the dragon's voice rumbled softly, "but you must rise beyond it." She felt Daniel's presence, solid and warm beside her, but it was distant compared to the voice in her head, the golden eyes fixed on hers. The dragon's breath stirred the grass, the ground beneath her feet trembling as though the earth itself was holding its breath. "You are not ready yet," the voice murmured, "but you will be." And just like that, the presence seemed to ease, the weight lifting slightly, though the dragon did not move. Decima's breath shuddered out. She turned to Daniel, her voice raw. "Do you see it?" He nodded slowly, eyes wide, his mouth slightly open. But he said nothing. Decima turned back, her heart pounding. The dragon was still there, watching, waiting, and she knew, deep in her chest, in the marrow of her bones, that this was just the beginning. The dragon lingered for a moment longer, its golden eyes glowing in the dark like embers in the night. Then, with a final rumble that seemed to shudder through the earth, it turned, slipping back into the shadows of the trees. Decima stood frozen, breath ragged, watching as the shape vanished into the darkness. The night seemed to settle again, the hum of the air fading until only the quiet sounds of the garden remained. Daniel shifted beside her, a slow, disbelieving exhale breaking the silence. His hand hovered close to hers but didn't quite touch. For a long while, neither of them spoke. Finally, Decima turned, her body heavy with exhaustion, her mind racing. She stepped back into the house, leaving the door ajar behind her. as if the dragon's presence still lingered just outside. Daniel followed, quiet and watchful, his steps soft on the worn floorboards. The house felt different now, charged, as if it held its breath too, waiting. Decima tried to sit, tried to steady herself, but the ache in her chest wouldn't settle. Her hands trembled as she gripped the edge of the table, trying to focus, to breathe. Her gaze drifted downward, catching on something small, a gap in the floorboards just beneath her feet. It wasn't much, just a subtle shift in the wood, but it caught her attention. Frowning, she crouched down, her fingers tracing the edge of the board. It moved, just slightly, but enough to make her breath hitch. Daniel stayed quiet, watching her with wide, questioning eyes, but he didn't say a word. Decima's pulse quickened. Carefully, she pried the board up, the old wood creaking softly. Beneath it, dust swirled in the dim light, revealing a small hollow space, hidden, waiting. Inside, wrapped in cloth, was a bundle. Decima's hands shook as she lifted it out, the weight of it familiar yet strange. She unwrapped the cloth slowly, the fabric worn and frayed at the edges, and the scent that rose from it was sharp. Herbs, smoke, something ancient, a book, bound in cracked leather, dark with age, its surface etched with symbols she didn't recognize. Her heart raced as she opened it, the pages fragile beneath her fingers. The first page caught her breath. "To the daughters of the path, may you never lose your way." A shiver ran down her spine. She turned the page, the ink faded in places, the handwriting neat but old. Spells, lore, symbols she didn't understand, and then an entry that seemed to leap from the page. The bond between souls is not always born in love, but in magic deeper than memory. When two are called by the same force, the threads of fate begin to weave anew. Beware the moment of awakening. For when the glow begins, so too does the danger. The glow. Her fingers tingled at the memory, touching the archway, the strange pull in her chest, the way her skin seemed to hum whenever Daniel looked at her. Her breath hitched, the realization sinking deep into her bones. This book wasn't just old. It was part of her story, of the magic, of the dragon, and it had been waiting here, buried beneath the floor, for her. Daniel knelt beside her, his breath warm and steady. He didn't speak, just watched, as if he knew this moment wasn't his to break. Decima stared at the pages, her heart racing, the dragon's voice still echoing in her mind. This was only the beginning, and whatever was coming next, she wasn't ready, but she would be.